serious subject about Saint Paul, Saul of Tarsus, how this man hijacked the New Testament. This is a man of Saint Paul whose writings are actually older than the Gospels. You see, his writings, Galatians, Corinthians, and all of these books are actually older than the Gospels. And so this man, he was Saul of Tarsus, was actually a murderer of Christians and was responsible for, I believe his name was Stephen. Yes, it is live. You got to be live. You can look it right up there and see it popping. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, this is, I'm trying to show you how this man he the one really controlling the narrative of Christianity. And I went into a book of the most influential people in all history. I used to have an encyclopedia. And they had 100 people in this book. And they had Muhammad number one, being the most influential person in history, spiritually, politically, and do you know who that man right there, St. Paul, Saul of Tarsus, was number two. He was number two. And so I'm thinking, I used to ask myself the question, what the hell was these so-called 12 disciples doing? You walking with God, you walking with the Son of God, and nobody write nothing down? How did St. Paul, Saul of Tarsus, beat the 12 disciples, and only 4 ever wrote, from my understanding? How was he able to put out documents before they was able to put out documents? That's very confusing to me. So this man, Paul, never even met Jesus. He had been murdering Christians. He was like the ICE of his day. He was a hit squad. They was a Jewish hit squad, and they was knocking off Christians. And when, they was about to put the heat on him. They was about to put the heat on him. Once you get that name that once you get that name, you taking out the Christians, they ready to knock you off now. They say we got to knock him off because he doing too much. You see, his name is in everything as far as the downfall of the Christians. So they technically had a hit. And thank you, family. Thank you. They had a hit out. They had a hit out on Paul. And so he says he sees Jesus one day on the road to Damascus. Now, this has got to be the crazy. No validation or nothing, people. And the whole thing is a fabrication. But it's crazy to me how Christians take this book to be the word of God. This ain't no word of no God. This is the word of Paul. Paul is the most influential man in the New Testament. He's responsible for the majority of the books in the New Testament. I think I had it in here. I think I had it in how many books and things that this man had in there, which was crazy. I think it might have been in here. Yeah, this is really, let me see. I think this might have been it right here. Let me see. But anyway, it's crazy. The oldest books of the New Testament. I just put it back in there. I ain't gonna look for it. I just put it back in there so people could see that. I appreciate all my family for the donation. You know I do. Uh, Here it is. Thessalonians. Thessalonians is the oldest book of the New Testament. It supposedly was written 49 to 51 of the Common Era. Okay? Let me put that. I should have put books. Okay. So y'all can see. So Paul's letters, Paul, not Matthew, Luke, John. See, that's why I try to show y'all. They put them books in a chronological order to fool people. Because if you put the book in chronological orders and you put Thessalonians and Galatians first, people gonna be like, well, why? What is this? You see what I'm saying? Well, why is he came after the fact. He wasn't even there with Jesus. He wasn't even a part of the 12 apostles. So why is his books first? And so that's crazy. That's very crazy that, people don't know that. So you got the first Episcopal to Thessalonians is the oldest. Episcopal to Galatians. Episcopal to Corinthians. Second Episcopal to Corinthians. Episcopals to Romans. First Episcopal to Corinthians. Episcopal to Philippians. Philippians. Episcopal to Philemon. Episcopal to Colossians. Episcopal to Ephesians. All of these are the oldest books. They older than the Gospels. Man, wrap your head around that. So Paul, who was a murderer of Christians, who claimed he saw Jesus on the way to Damascus, is the most influential man in the New Testament. Wrap your head around that if you can. And so, Mark, the book of Mark, the oldest gospel, 65 to 70 of the Common Era. Gospel of Matthew, and these is fabricated. Even so, 70 to 85 of the Common Era, Matthew, Luke, 70 to 85 of the Common Era, and the last one to be written was John, 90 to 100 of the Common Era. So explain to me, because when did Jesus die? So most scholars is saying that Jesus died 33 of the common era. That's what they got. Most commonly accepted by modern scholars that Jesus died 33 of the common era. And then you come down here in the first gospel, which is Mark, let me get back up here, was written 65 to 70 of the common era. So you mean to tell me that Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, supposedly the disciples that walked with Jesus, walked with God, seen this man resurrect from the dead, and they didn't start writing to almost 30 years after it happened? They didn't write nothing down for 30 years, some of them 40 years. John, if he did it at 100 years, he waited 70 years. So these men, how old was these men? Because if they were the same age as Jesus, and if they were just around the same age as Jesus, just say John, he would have been 100. Wait a minute, he would have been damn near. The man would have been 100 years old if he was the same age as Jesus, and we take the date that these people say they wrote them books. Man, them men would have been damn near 100 years old. So you mean to tell me 100-year-old men are writing books and recollecting what they heard over 70 years ago, and you believe this? Man, listen here, man. Y'all need to wake up. I'm out of here, family. Hey, we got some fire going down. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me drop this in here, man. Let me drop this in here, Mike. Y'all can believe that if you... Thank you, Ray, for dropping that in there. I'm glad you caught me. Mike. There you go. Y'all, if y'all believe that them apostles are the apostles that supposedly walk with God, you need to find the nearest psychiatric hospital and check on in. Check on in, family. Check on in. Let me tap in right here. Let me pin this at the top. I'm out of here. Make sure y'all get over. We're going to have some more live streams before we get out of here tonight. Boom. Black Pop.